Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today is National Potato Day, and that means that we're going to be talking about potatoes. Now, we use potatoes for many things. The most obvious thing, of course, is eating them. Even though I rarely eat British food, I love to eat a potato at lunchtime. So we call some preparation of the potato, a light snack, the jacket potato. So I'll tell you about that first. The jacket potato is when you wash it, you don't scrape it, you just wash it and then you stab it with a fork a few times. You microwave it for a time, depending on the size of the potato. Most microwaves have a setting for potatoes. And then you chop it open, add butter and cheese or whatever else you want to put in it, and you have a beautiful snack. It's a lovely thing. I love jacket potatoes, otherwise known as baked potatoes. Potatoes have been our major carbohydrate, or as we say here, our staple, for many, many years. And there's many reports about how we came to get the potato. Basically, as far as I'm aware, potatoes originated in South Africa, and I know that there's more than 5,000 types. People are very particular here about their potatoes, and as part of small talk, they can talk about them for days. I heard someone the other day talking about potatoes in the supermarket. Well, first of all, I was so shocked that two British people were actually talking to each other that it caught my attention. And one said to the other, "Nah, I only eat Jersey potatoes, just Jersey." And the other one replied with, "Nah, no, I only eat West Kilbride potatoes." And I'm thinking, West Kilbride potatoes? How bizarre. That's a really small, insignificant place. And somebody else chimed in, "Oh no, for me it's Cyprus. Cyprus potatoes are the best." And they started talking about how these different potatoes are. Now, you know that British people, we don't generally get excited about food, and potatoes are, well, kind of tasteless anyway. So I don't know why they were excited by this, but anyway, they were having this major conversation all about potatoes. Now, as well as making jacket potatoes, of course, we also peel potatoes and boil them in salted water. That's another way we eat them. And sometimes we mash them. Sometimes we also serve them in different ways, leaving them in their original shape by adding butter or mashing them in other vegetables. Now, aside from actually eating them, some people here grow them. Potatoes here can be grown, but you have to be quite careful because potatoes have certain needs. But farmers grow them and sell them locally. And when that happens, that's known as organic farming because you're eating straight from the land. And of course, that means that there's no chemicals or other things get into potatoes. I have heard it's possible to do that around here, but mostly when I go to the supermarket, it's very clear that these potatoes have been imported or are from another part of the UK, or as the ladies in the supermarket were saying, they came from Cyprus, local towns, or perhaps other parts of the UK. But potatoes are huge things for us. We love potatoes. And of course, the potato is a metaphor for many different types of conversations. Someone who's quite lazy and doesn't like to move, you can call them a couch potato. If there's an argument on a controversial subject which is being debated, you could perhaps refer to that topic as a hot potato. So, for example, politics, that's a real hot potato in the UK at the moment. But also, if you have a lover and you're really enjoying your time with your new lover, you could perhaps refer to that person as your hot potato. You're my real hot potato, baby. Be careful with that one, though, because that could be insulting. I mean, potatoes aren't exactly beautiful, are they? But yeah, I've heard some people making reference to that. Uh, I don't quite know exactly why, but there we are. And then, of course, we have Mr. Potato Head. I love Mr. Potato Head. I'm sure you know what that is. It's like a plastic toy for kids. It's shaped like a potato, and you can dress him up in whatever mood you think that you're feeling that day. He comes with a costume, you know. Potatoes are also known as spuds here in the UK. In fact, we have a very famous chain of restaurants here called Spud You Like, which is written Spud for potato. U is written as a letter rather than the person, and then the word like, Spud You Like, and it's written as one word. And yeah, I was out the other day with my Japanese friend, and he said, "Oh, what's this restaurant, Spaduliki?" I said, "Spaduliki? We don't have a restaurant called Spaduliki." He said, "Yeah, there it is." But he was reading it just as one word. I said, "That's not Spaduliki. That's Spud You Like. It's a jacket potato shop where you can have potatoes." It's an easy mistake to make. If you do like spuds, today is your day because you can celebrate having a delicious jacket potato. Potatoes have been a popular food for centuries. The story goes that Sir Francis Drake picked some up in Latin America and brought them back to the UK. But by the time he got here, they were carrying a fungus and they were presented to the royals and it made them all sick. And then potatoes were banned from the UK again. So yeah, there's been a few a few embarrassing events with potatoes. Nobody knows how we got to that point where we made chips from them. Now, be careful with potato chips because in American English, potato chips are those things you buy in the bag and you eat them. You know, those little round wafer things which are delicious and they come in different flavors like cheese and onion. In British English, we call those things crisps. And chips in British English are the things we have with fish and chips. Okay, so let me say that again. Chips in British English are those things you get from fish and chips, the potatoes which are fried and served. But chips in American English are those things which are pre-packed and you eat them cold. They look like fried wafers. Okay. It's a bit confusing because they're often marketed in the UK as chips as well, because they're American. So be careful of that if you're looking for chips from the fish and chip shop. Oh, and of course, there's that TV show. Do you remember Chips? I love that TV show from the 1970s. It was two American men on mopeds who were traffic police. Do you remember CHIPS? Well, it was an acronym, California Highway in Patrol, was it? With Eric Estrada. and the other guy, I can't remember his name. I only remember Eric Estrada, and they were on this highway on their mopeds, pulling over traffic. And of course, when they did, they discovered it was a major crime thing. I love chips. Well, I love potato chips as well. Yeah, there was also that American marketing campaign with that dog that used to pour pints of beer, Spuds Mackenzie. It was this little dog that used to look like he was pouring drinks for customers. That eventually got prohibited by the US government because they felt it was glamorizing alcohol for children. Well, I don't know why they were upset about that. I mean, they seemed quite happy drinking and promoting alcohol for kids in other ways. Oh, here we are. Okay, so apparently the Inca in Peru, it says here, were the first in the world to cultivate the potato. Well, I read a moment ago South Africa. And then in 1536, the Spanish who had invaded Peru, they brought potatoes back to Europe. Thomas Jefferson was serving chips by 1802 in the White House. And in 1995, the potato became the first vegetable to be grown in space. Oh, beautiful. And yeah, they feature it in a lot of media, don't they? Do you remember Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that sci-fi? Was that a movie, was it, or a TV show? I can't remember, but I seem to remember there's a famous image there of a man mashing potatoes while you were sleeping with Sandra Bullock. That also had mashed potatoes. And the Two Towers of Lord of the Rings, I'm sure that had potatoes in it as well. Weren't one of the towers made of potato? Yeah, so love potatoes and potato chips. You can do so much with those, but you have to store them correctly. They have to be in a cool, dark place. Otherwise, they just turn to mush, which isn't very nice. Yeah, so we spoke about Spuds Mackenzie. We spoke about Mr. Potato Heads. There's other things you probably didn't know about them. Oh, yeah, I see. I think I was confused. I said they came from South Africa. I think what I meant to say is they came from South America. Anyway, yeah, so they were once used as a medical cure. Potatoes were known for being full of vitamins, and they were once prescribed by doctors. If I'm not mistaken, vodka's made from potatoes, isn't it? I might be wrong there. Did you also know that you can grow them at any height? So they grow well in the mountains. That's another weird fact about them. There's also a potato museum in Idaho, which is a little bit strange. Now, America is the world's fourth largest potato producer after China, India, and the Ukraine. I never really thought of America as producing potatoes for some reason. I don't know why. If you ask most Americans which place makes them think of potatoes, they'll tell you Idaho. And apparently that's because Idaho, which is an American state, it produces potatoes, but it also has a famous potato museum, and both of those things means that it's unofficially known as the Potato States. And they seem to have a long history with the potato. Really? I'd never even heard of Idaho. The museum's still there and it's going strong. And there's a cafe where you can buy lots of different things, potato-based, of course. Yeah, they were even a currency at one point in South America, potatoes. You could buy and sell potatoes in order to get other things, because in the 13th century there wasn't even a money-based economy. And apparently there's still economies today which are heavily reliant on potatoes. There's a place called Tristan da Cunha, a British overseas territory. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. It's so remote it doesn't even have an airport. There's 250 people, and they make their living from fishing and farming, and yeah, you guessed it, potatoes. Yeah, there's loads of different types. I mean, far too many to mention. I suppose one of my favorite is the sweet potato. Oh, I love sweet baked potatoes. Oh, very interesting. So yeah, celebrate today. Go and buy chips, potato chips in the bag, or fish and chips at your local British restaurant, or try to buy some potatoes and eat them. You can't let National Potato Day pass you by. You could even order Mr. Potato Head on the internet, on eBay. He's quite cheap at the moment. Or have a look at the advertisements for Spuds MacKenzie. Or what I'll be doing is watch an episode of Chips with Eric Estrada. I think you'll find those on YouTube. I'm a little bit out of date these days, but well, we don't worry about that. We don't worry about those things. And there we are. So, National Potato Day. Who would have thought there was one? So, enjoy your day, whatever you're doing. And I'll catch up with you all again soon. See you. Bye.